Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One with me, Raisha Saigal, and this is Speed News. We're getting the latest from all across the globe in a matter of 30-odd minutes. Let's get you started. An Israeli airstrike hit a shelter housing displaced families in Khan Yunis in Gaza, killing at least 20 people, including women and children. The tragic incident has sparked widespread condemnation and outrage. The shelter, which served as a refuge for Palestinians displaced by the ongoing conflict, was severely damaged in the strike. According to medics, bodies were strewn across the rubble-strewn building, which was still ablaze as rescue teams searched for survivors and attempted to revive the dead bodies. The Israeli government has approved a plan to increase the population of the annexed Golan Heights following the fall of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said his government has unanimously approved $11 million plan for the Golan Heights. The Golan is well home to about 23,000 Druze Arabs whose presence predates the occupation, and most of whom retain Syrian citizenship, as well as around 30,000 Israelis. In a statement, Netanyahu's office said, "We will continue to establish ourselves there and settle there as well." The leader of South Korea's ruling People Power Party, Han Dong-Hoon, has announced his resignation following the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol by Parliament on Saturday. The announcement comes as the court reviews the Parliament's vote and assesses the fate of the president. Addressing a press conference, Han Dong-Hoon said he wants to apologize to the South Korean people who suffered in fear of martial law declaration. Taking a dig at the opposition, he said that the illegal martial law declaration cannot hide the main opposition party and its leader Lee Jong-myun's alleged wrongdoings. Taiwan has received 38 advanced Abraham battle tanks from the United States. The Defense Ministry, as the island strengthens its military capabilities against a potential Chinese attack. The M1A2 tanks, the first batch of 108 ordered in 2019, arrived in Taiwan late on Sunday, and they were transferred to an army training base in the south of the capital, Taipei. Taiwan's current tank force consists of around 1,000 Taiwan-made CM-11 Brave Tiger and US-made M60A3 tanks, technology that is increasingly obsolete while it has a homegrown defense industry and has been upgrading its equipment. Taiwan relies heavily on US arms sales to strengthen its security capabilities. US President-elect Donald Trump recently hosted Aki Abe, the widow of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, for a private dinner with his wife, Melania Trump, at their Mar-a-Lago residence. This meeting holds major importance and significance given the close ties between Trump and Shinzo Abe during Trump's first term as the US president. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has been discharged from a Sao Paulo hospital after undergoing emergency surgery to treat his intracranial hemorrhage. The procedure, called craniotomy, involved surgically removing part of the bone from the skull to treat the bleed and relieve pressure with the hemorrhage, which was caused by a blow to the head Lula sustained when he fell in his bathroom at the presidential residence in October. India and Russia are set to strengthen their ties with a new visa-free travel arrangement starting from spring 2025. Indian citizens may be able to travel to Russia without a visa, making a major ease in travel restriction between the two nations. And this comes following discussions between India and Russia on a bilateral agreement to relax visa rules for each other's citizens. Currently, Indians can obtain an e-visa to travel to Russia, which takes 4 days to process. However, the proposed visa-free travel arrangement will eliminate the need for a visa altogether. 7 tourists, including 4 Australians, were hospitalized in a suspected case of alcohol poisoning at a resort in Fiji. The Australian and the governments of Fiji said on Monday the tourists became ill after drinking a cocktail at a resort on the south coast of Vetilevu Island, with local media naming the resort as the Warwick Fiji on Coral Coast, an area popular with foreign tourists. The Australian government has updated its travel advice for Fiji to flag dangers of drink spiking and warned Australians about the risk of alcohol poisoning when traveling to Fiji. The crown of thorns, a revered relic believed by some to have been worn by Jesus Christ during his crucifixion, has been returned to Notre-Dame Cathedral in Paris. The relic consists of a circle of rushes encased in a crystal and gold tube. It was rescued from the devastating fire that ravaged the cathedral in 2019. In a solemn ceremony, the Archbishop of Paris, Laurent Ulrich, oversaw the return of the crown of thorns to its home in the newly restored cathedral. China's Long March 8 rocket is gearing up for its inaugural launch from the country's first commercial space launch site in Wenchang City, Henan Province. The new generation medium-sized rocket, manufactured by China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, features green and environmentally friendly liquid propellant. The Long March 8 was successfully transferred to the #1 launch pad at the Henan commercial spacecraft launch site on Sunday afternoon. This marks a major milestone as the launch pad was only completed on December 29, 2023. The launch will be a crucial test of the launch site's capabilities following its first successful launch mission on November 30th. That's when the March 12th carrier rocket was launched into space. In a last-ditch effort to persuade Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to reconsider their withdrawal from the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, the bloc's leaders have now agreed to a 6-month grace period. The decision was made during an ECOWAS summit on Sunday, where leaders attempted to address the impending withdrawal of the 3 countries. Despite previous efforts, ECOWAS has been unable to convince Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to reverse their decision to leave the bloc. The 3 countries located in the insurgency-torn central Sahel region have instead formed their own alliance and sought closer ties in defense and other areas. While the official withdrawal date remains January 29th, the effective date has been extended to July 29th. Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus, who heads the caretaker government installed after an August revolution, said on Monday that the elections would be held late next year or early 2026. The country held elections on Jan 7, 2024, which were won by the Awami League led by incumbent Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. However, the election was marred by controversy, with opposition parties boycotting the polls and allegations of vote rigging. The August revolution led to the installation of a caretaker government headed by Mohammad Yunus, which is tasked with overseeing the transition to a new government. The announcement of election date is a major step towards restoring democracy in Bangladesh. Telegram announced the removal of over 15 million groups and channels related to harmful content such as fraud and terrorism in 2024. This effort, which follows a crackdown initiated in September 15, powered by advanced AI moderation tools. Telegram's founder, Pavel Durov, faced increased pressure after his arrest in France in August, leading to stronger enforcement measures. The platform has also launched a new moderation page to keep users informed about its actions. A 68-year-old senior citizen from Bengaluru lost more than $228,000 after falling victim to a cyber scam. The fraudsters, posing as Mumbai Crime Branch officers, contacted him through a WhatsApp video call. The caller accused him of being involved in a money laundering case. The victim, believing the scam, transferred the money from his fixed deposit to the fraudsters. The police have now launched an investigation into the incident.
This only to leave them empty-handed.
Rhode Island officials announced that a cyber attack on the state's rebridges systems, which handle social services like Medicaid and SNAP, likely exposed personal data. The breach, which also affected the health source RI insurance marketplace, could rather impact individuals' names, addresses, birth dates, social security numbers and bank details. Deloitte, which operates the system, confirmed malicious code was found on December 13th. The state is working to mitigate the effects and notify affected residents. China's property market showed signs of stabilizing in November as home price declines eased for a third straight month. New home prices fell 0.2%, the smallest drop in 17 months, while used home prices decreased 0.35%. Residential sales rose 4.5% year-on-year, marking the first increase this year. However, real estate investment fell 10.4% in the first 11 months, reflecting the ongoing challenges, especially in smaller cities with high inventories. Despite Chinese President Xi Jinping's commitment to stabilize the market, developers remain cautious and policy details remain vague. Brazilian President Lula da Silva criticized the country's high interest rates, claiming that they are unjustified given controlled inflation. Lula blamed the central bank for the growing fiscal issues following its recent decision to raise the Selic rate to 12.25%. With plans to increase it further. Despite these challenges, Brazil's economy is expected to grow over 3% in 2024, driven by strong domestic demand, low unemployment and government spending. Lula's government has focused on improving living standards for the poor, but faces skepticism over its fiscal plans, which are now pending approval by the Congress. Oil prices steadied after a weekly rise, with Brent crude above $74 per barrel. The stability follows the U.S. signaling tighter sanctions on Russian crude and Chinese pledge to bolster its economy. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen suggested lowering the price cap on Russian oil to limit Moscow's war funding. Despite geopolitical risks supporting prices, the outlook remains bearish, with expectations of oversupply next year. This is particularly with non-OPEC plus production growth outpacing the global demand. Meanwhile, the UAE will cut oil exports in early 2025 to enforce stricter production targets. Japan's factory activity contracted for the sixth consecutive month in December. This highlights weak demand in the goods sector, while the service sector saw growth, with the services PMI rising to 51.4. Business confidence in manufacturing softened to its lowest since May 2022, driven by rising input costs and inflation pressures. Despite challenges in the factory sector, Japan's composite PMI increased to 50.8, while sentiment in large manufacturers improved slightly. Concerns over global demand and potential tariffs cloud the outlook for the next quarter.